It was past midnight in Amy Carter's home office. She had just finalized the pricing model for her postpartum care service. 2 years in the making, a notification lit up her phone. Michelle had tagged her in a post. She opened it and read, "I am thrilled to announce Nurture Nest, a subscription service for new moms, born from my own journey. Grateful to my investors for believing in this dream."
Nurture Nest. That's my name. My exact branding.
The product photos were duplicates of her own mock-ups. Every detail, the font, the colors, copied.
She didn't even change the tagline. I wrote that.
The comments poured in, congratulating Michelle. Not a single one knew the truth. Amy scrolled back up, rereading as if the words might change.
"We just had brunch." She smiled and said, "I'd change the world."
Her hand went slack, and the phone clattered onto the desk. She didn't move to pick it up. The phone lay on the desk, the screen still lit with Michelle's triumphant face. But Amy's mind was already 6 months back. 6 months earlier, spring sunlight filled the Roost Cafe. Amy had arrived early, her notebook already open on the table.
"Sorry, I'm late. The line at Sephora was insane. So, tell me everything."
Amy's fingers trembled with excitement as she turned the notebook toward Michelle.
I am calling it Nurture Nest. Monthly box, products, expert videos, a care tracker. I've got mock-ups.
She walked Michelle through every detail. Supplier lists, pricing tiers, the branding palette. Nothing held back.
"This is going to be huge, Amy. I mean it. The name alone, you've thought of everything."
Michelle asked about launch timing, the web developer Amy was using, and the investor pitch deck.
And my uncle's letting me use his warehouse space. It cuts my overhead by 60%.
To Nurture Nest and to the woman who'll change everything.
After brunch, Amy threw herself into the work with a kind of fire she hadn't felt before. Late nights at the warehouse, refining the packaging prototypes. Early mornings on her laptop, polishing every line of copy. By the 3rd month, her supplier contracts were signed. She posted the news in the group chat. Within minutes, Michelle replied, "So proud of you. This is really happening."
She was right. It was real. My spreadsheets, my brand, all of it finally coming together.
Another month, another milestone. The website went live in beta. She sent the link with a prayer. Michelle's response was instant. "It's perfect. I can't wait to see this take off." Amy circled a date on her calendar, the 15th of October. Soft launch, 40 days away.
40 days. After 2 years, 40 days. She almost couldn't believe it.
The night before her soft launch, Amy sat at her desk, running through the final checklist. Everything was in place. The memory dissolved, and Amy was back in her office, the phone still dark on the desk. She hadn't moved in minutes. The group chat pulsed with new messages. "Congrats, Michelle. So excited for Nurture Nest," and a string of confetti emojis. Amy scrolled to the announcement post again, forcing herself to read the exact words Michelle had written. Her thumb hovered over Michelle's name. Then she pressed call.
"Amy, it's late. What's wrong?"
Nurture Nest. Michelle, you launched Nurture Nest. My name, my mock-ups, everything.
"It's just a similar idea, Amy. Don't be paranoid. I've been working on this for months, too."
The line went dead. Amy stared at the phone, the silence pressing against her ears. Without thinking, she opened their old group chat. Her thumb scrolling past months of messages, searching for something she couldn't yet name. The screen froze on a message from 2 years ago, her own words. "What about Nurture Nest?" The timestamp was undeniable. Amy scrolled higher, thumb trembling. There it was, the full concept, mock-ups, supplier names, dated 2 years earlier. Directly below, Michelle's response. "This is genius. I can't wait to see this take off." The timestamp was minutes later.
She knew. Before brunch, before the notebooks, she knew everything I was building.
She lurched to her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. The chat had to be exported. Every message, every timestamp. The export loaded, metadata intact, dates, names, reactions. She saved it as nurturenest timeline.pdf, a single file, 63 pages, 2 years of her life, her ideas, her proof. Her browser opened. Ingram and Associates, intellectual property law. She dialed before she could second guess.
I need an appointment. A former friend launched my business, my name, my suppliers. I have time-stamped proof.
The receptionist gave her a slot. Thursday, 2 a.m. Amy stared at the exported file on her desktop.
This has to be enough. It's all I have.
Thursday morning, Amy pushed through the glass doors of Ingram and Associates, the envelope of evidence clutched in her hand.
Miss Carter, I've reviewed the PDF. The timeline is clear, but let's discuss what the law can actually protect.
Rachel pulled up the file, her eyes scanning the highlighted sections. She nodded slowly.
Ideas alone aren't protected, but your specific branding, written copy, and the documented supplier list, those are.
And the timestamps? Michelle responded to those messages. She knew it was mine before brunch.
That's admissible. Prior creation established by metadata. But litigation is public and costly. A cease and desist is the first step.
Amy's jaw tightened. Litigation meant exposing the betrayal to everyone. Their friends, the industry, the press. She took the pen, signed the retainer. Her hand was steadier than she expected.
I'll draft the letter today. It will demand she stop using your materials and issue a correction.
This is really happening. I am suing my best friend.
Rachel emailed the final draft on Friday. Amy printed it, signed and dropped it at the post office that afternoon. She also sent a digital copy, read receipt requested. The proof was now a weapon, aimed and fired.
It's done. Now, I wait. And hope she does the right thing.
3 days later, a group chat notification. Did you see Michelle's tweet? Classic. A screenshot followed. Michelle had written, "Funny how success brings out the haters. Jealousy is a disease. Stay focused. Stay blessed." Then a private message from a mutual friend. "Amy, you need to stop this. People are talking. Just let it go."
Let it go. Like I invented Nurture a Nest for fun. Like 2 years of my life meant nothing.
The group chat exploded. Defenses of Michelle, vague subtweets, a friend posting "real ones don't sue real ones." Amy set her phone face down on the table. The silence in the room was louder than any of them.
I am the one who was robbed. So why do I feel like the villain?
The next evening, Amy's phone rang. Michelle's name glowed on the screen. She answered without hesitation.
Amy, let's talk. This has gotten out of hand. We're friends. We can work something out quietly.
Quietly? You publicly called it your own. You lied to everyone. Why should I protect you now?
You never trademarked it. Ideas are free. I built this with my own money, my own team, my own sweat.
I have timestamps, Michelle. The group chat from 2 years ago, you replied to every single post.
There was a long, hollow pause. Then the line went dead. Amy called Rachel immediately, her voice steady but the anger barely contained beneath it.
The evidence is strong. She'll ignore a letter, but a formal complaint forces a public response. It's time.
Amy stared at the draft complaint on Rachel's desk, a single page that would end any pretense of friendship.
Do it. File the complaint.
Rachel submitted the complaint to the civil court. The chat transcript filed as Exhibit A. Amy's phone buzzed. Case 24 CV Tangus 708-9 filed. The fight was now public record. A friend posted on the group chat, "Feeling torn. Loyalty is everything."
The subtext was unmistakable. That post was aimed directly at her.
Another friend blocked her without warning. The name simply disappeared from her contacts. She scrolled through her list, counting the silences. 3 more friends gone.
This is the price of the truth. It keeps getting steeper.
A small business journal ran a blind item about the dispute. The story was spreading. Amy sat alone in the kitchen, the isolation pressing down, but her jaw was set.
Let them talk. I have the receipts, and they're not going anywhere.
2 days later, Rachel called Amy to her office. Her expression was grim as she closed the door.
Michelle's investors have been notified about the litigation. They're concerned. Her seed funding is at risk.
A sick feeling bloomed in her stomach. She hadn't wanted to destroy everything Michelle had built. I never wanted to hurt her, Rachel. I just wanted my work back.
You are not ruining her. You are reclaiming what she took from you. That's not cruelty. It's justice.
The words settled into Amy's chest like a stone, heavy and solid.
Justice. It sounded cleaner than it felt. But she knew Rachel was right.
Amy nodded slowly. The guilt receded, replaced by a quieter, steadier purpose.
What happens now?
We wait. They'll pressure her to settle, or they'll walk. Either way, the ball is in your court now.
The call came 2 days later. Michelle's voice was raw, stripped of its usual polish. She sounded like she hadn't slept.
Amy, please, I'll pay you. $5,000 and we sign a confidentiality agreement. No one has to know.
Amy stood in her kitchen, phone pressed against her ear, a cup of cold coffee forgotten on the counter. The offer was insultingly small.
You think 5,000 covers 2 years of my life? You didn't just copy me. You erased me.
10,000, Amy? I can go to 10. Please, my investors are threatening to pull out. I'll lose everything.
I want a public correction, Michelle. Full acknowledgement, co-founder credit, and a licensing fee. That's non-negotiable.
You're going to regret this. You're ruining both of us.
The line went dead. Michelle's hand trembled as she stared at the screen, her reflection pale and fractured.
For the first time, the power wasn't hers. It was mine, and I wasn't going to give it back.
The silence in the kitchen felt different now. Sharp, clean. The ball was truly in Amy's court. The group chat erupted again that night, but this time the messages were aimed directly at Amy. One friend wrote, "You could have handled this privately. Now the whole city knows our business. I am so disappointed."
Disappointed. As if her own betrayal wasn't the original wound.
She typed a reply, 4 paragraphs of raw defense, then deleted every word. There was nothing left to salvage here. She muted the chat permanently. The silence that followed was not empty. It was a boundary. The next morning, Rachel called with an update. The settlement draft was ready. Amy walked into the office an hour later. Rachel slid a document across the desk. Licensing payment, public correction, co-founder credit.
It's everything you asked for. Once she signs, the truth is on record.
Amy's eyes traced the words, each clause a small victory welded from loss.
Send it to her.
The counteroffer arrived within days. Typed on legal letterhead, cold and precise. Michelle would pay $20,000, but no public statement.
She still thinks I can be bought off. Still thinks my dignity has a price tag.
This is standard negotiation. They're testing your nerve. The investors won't let this drag on. She'll break.
And if she doesn't? What if I lose everything, and she just walks away clean?
Then we go to trial. And we have the timestamps. They'll have to answer to a jury why they thought they could steal your work.
Amy nodded, but the nights that followed were long and quiet. Sleep came in fragments, chased by doubt.
What if my friends were right? What if this is just ego, dressed up as justice?
3 days passed without a reply. The silence was a third party at the table, filling the room with unanswered questions. She stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m., tracing the cracks in the plaster, measuring the cost of holding the line.
But she couldn't let go. Not yet. The truth deserved to be more than a secret she carried alone.
The phone rang at 7 a.m., Rachel's name cutting through the gray dawn. Amy had barely slept, her coffee cold and untouched.
Amy, We have a problem. The lead investor just issued a 48-hour deadline. Settle this or they walk.
The words landed like a punch. The hypothetical risk was now a ticking clock.
What are my options?
Confidential settlement. You get paid, she saves face, or we push for the full terms and they might pull the entire round.
Amy's gaze drifted to the water stain on the ceiling, the same one she'd stared at 2 a.m.
If I take the money, I'll spend the rest of my life knowing she got away with it. Send the final version. Public correction. Co-founder credit. Everything. I am not backing down.
You are sure? If the investor walks, this case could drag for years.
I am sure. The truth isn't a bargaining chip.
The 48 hours passed in a blur of stale coffee and half-read emails. Amy jumped at every notification. Then an email from Rachel. Subject: settlement executed. Amy's breath caught in her throat. She opened it. The message was short. Michelle Payne has agreed to all terms. Licensing payment, public correction, and co-founder credit. Signed copies attached. Her hand moved to her mouth. 10 weeks of sleepless nights condensed into a single paragraph. The phone rang almost instantly. Rachel's voice was steady but warm.
She signed Amy. The investor pushed for a clean resolution, and she had no choice. You did it.
Amy closed her eyes. The weight of 2 years, the theft, the betrayal, the isolation began to shift.
What happens next?
She has 72 hours to post the correction. Then we release the statement to the press. It's over, Amy.
Amy stared at the signed document on her screen. The proof was no longer just hers. It was officially her truth. The night before the scheduled correction, Amy sat on her couch, laptop balanced on her knees, drafting a statement she never imagined she'd need to write.
Every draft felt wrong. She deleted line after line, the cursor blinking impatiently.
The clock on her phone read 2:47 a.m. Sleep had become a distant rumor.
She reread the settlement terms for the 10th time. It still didn't feel real.
She refreshed her inbox every few minutes, half expecting a last-minute reversal.
2 years ago, I posted an idea in a group chat. Today, I am finally being credited for it.
Rachel's text arrived at 3:45 a.m. The correction is scheduled for 9 a.m. Try to rest. Amy silenced the phone but didn't sleep. The silence was too loud. The group chat was mute. Everyone held their breath. She watched the minutes crawl toward 9 a.m. when the truth would finally carry her name. At exactly 9:02 a.m., Amy refreshed her feed. Michelle's name appeared at the top of her timeline. The post began. I want to clarify that the concept for Nurture Nest originated with Amy Carter. She deserves full credit as co-founder.
She did it. Every word we demanded.
The post linked to Amy's upcoming launch page. Below it, comments flooded in. One read, I knew it. Amy, you are a force. Another, this is how you own your truth. Amy's eyes blurred with tears. Not from sadness, from release.
2 years of silence. 2 years of doubt. Now it's over.
Her phone buzzed with a dozen notifications. Friends, acquaintances, strangers weighing in. But the loudest sound was the silence from the old group chat. It stayed mute, as if holding its breath. She allowed herself 1 full minute to feel the weight lift. Then she closed the app. The next battle was her own launch. She sat at her desk, the launch page open. Every image, every word, had been refined during those sleepless nights.
All right, here we go.
She clicked publish. The video went live, her face, her voice, telling the story of Nurture Nest from its true beginning. Within an hour, the first subscriptions started. The counter climbed past 50, then 100. Comments flooded in. Supporters, fellow entrepreneurs, even a few who had doubted her.
This was my idea, built by my hands, finally launched on my terms.
Meanwhile, Michelle's Nurture Nest lost 100 followers that day. Not fatal, but a wound. The first subscription box left her small warehouse that afternoon, addressed to a new mother in Memphis.
1 box. But it felt like 1,000. It felt like proof.
By midnight, the counter read 150 subscribers. Michelle's brand still stood, but the truth now had a home. 3 days after her launch, Amy walked into a coffee shop. Michelle was already at a corner table, her hands wrapped around a cold cup.
It all happened so fast, Amy. I was scared. I didn't mean to hurt you.
You took 2 years of my life, Michelle. You smiled at brunch while you planned your own version.
I've lost friends. Investors don't trust me. Isn't that enough?
Number. It's not, because you still can't say the words. You can't just say, I stole it, but I don't need to hear it anymore. We're done here. For good.
Amy placed a $10 bill on the table. It covered both coffees. She stood, shouldered her bag, and walked toward the door. She didn't look back. The bell above the door chimed. Then only the hum of the espresso machine and the sound of a friendship ending. Back in her apartment, Amy pulled out her phone. The group chat icon sat on the screen like a scar she hadn't yet faced.
Her thumb hovered over Leave group, but leaving felt like running. She chose to archive instead.
The chat vanished from her main list, filed silently into a folder labeled Proof. Not deleted, just stored. A reminder, not a wound. A week later, she stood in her new office, a small suite funded by Michelle's licensing payment. The walls were bare, but the windows were wide. A young woman with a resume sat across from her. Amy hired her on the spot, the first employee of Nurture Nest. Orders had doubled since the public correction. Boxes piled up, waiting for labels. The truth was good for business.
Every shipment felt like a small reclamation. This was hers. No asterisks.
She placed a framed screenshot of the original group chat on her desk. Not for others to see, for herself. The licensing fee had covered the first quarter's rent, and then some. Michelle's money, funding Amy's dream. There was a bitter poetry in it. She looked out the window at the city below. The past was archived, literally. The rest was unwritten. 6 months later, the frantic pace had smoothed into a quiet hum. Amy packed subscription boxes herself, even with an assistant. A handwritten note slipped from a returned box. You saved my sanity during postpartum. Thank you.
She tucked the note into the frame beside the chat screenshot. The wall was filling with proof of something better.
She glanced at her phone. The proof folder still untouched. It had been months since she'd needed it.
The PDF was still there, just in case. But it was no longer a weapon, just a receipt.
Outside, the sign for Nurture Nest hung steady above the door. Not a pop-up, not a copy, a permanent address.
The licensing payments from Michelle had dried up, but the business didn't need them anymore. It stood on its own.
She'd lost a best friend and gained a company. The math was brutal, but it was hers.
Some days, she missed Michelle. Not the thief, the friend from before, but that person might never have been real.
She turned back to the packing table. There was a shipment to Memphis and a customer who'd never known the drama, only the result. Later that afternoon, Amy took her usual walk through the park, where she'd first sketched the Nurture Nest logo on a napkin.
So much had changed since then. The fear, the fight, the file of proof. It all felt distant now.
Her phone buzzed. A new subscriber request, feedback on a feature idea.
She smiled, thumbs already moving. The business was alive and asking for more.
She typed a quick reply, then slipped the phone into her pocket. The screen faded to black. The park path stretched ahead, bordered by trees just starting to turn. The past was behind her, literally and otherwise. The group chat stayed archived. The PDF remained on a hard drive she never plugged in. The proof had done its job.
She wasn't defined by the theft anymore. She was defined by the thing she'd built in its wake.
She kept walking, the sound of leaves crunching under her feet. No dramatic finale, Just a woman and her idea, finally at peace. The camera lingered on the empty path, the light golden and low. A notification pinged, unanswered, as the screen slowly faded.